Hey guys, AC here. Welcome to another fragrance review. Welcome to my channel. Smells good. Really appreciate you clicking on the link. Today it's going to be Rasasi. It's called Woody, and it's a beautiful fragrance. Let's start with looking at the packaging. Let's start with looking at the packaging and presentation. Here is the packaging for Rasasi Woody. As you can see, I quite like the packaging. It's very straightforward, minimalistic packaging. It's part of the red carpet series of Rasasi. It's an EDP concentration, and at the back you will get the entire story where it tries to describe that the main inspiration behind this fragrance is woods, made in the UAE, 60 ml. I believe this is the only bottle configuration. This is how it comes off the package. I quite like the actual bottle, which is basically a log of wood. Some of Rasasi's packaging is just amazing. If you remember, a while back I did a review on Rasasi's Danalud Nashwa, which basically has a packaging that looks exactly like the heartwood inside the Aquilaria tree. So this one looks like a big log of wood, and the story about the fragrance etched in both sides, and this is what you get on top of the packet as well, and it says 60 ml, and that's about it really. Decent atomizer. The only problem with such bottles is you do not know how much juice is left. This 2016 release, as you can see. The actual fragrance was released back in 2014. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Woody is actually compared to two well-known fragrances. One is Creed's original Vetiver, and the other one is Lalique's Encre Noire. So while we go through our fragrance evaluation, we will actually look at whether these two fragrances have any similarities to Woody. So let's start with a spray. I'm going to dry down on my left hand, so I'll start with a fresh spray on my right hand. And so the atomizer is alright. Sometimes the amount of juice that comes out isn't the greatest, but when you smell this initially, it is very, very overpowering. It just comes and boom, hits you. And what you get is very, very strong wood, and that wood is basically cedar wood, but of the variety where you freshly sort of cut a log of wood. That's very oily and strong and pungent cedar. Within about 10 seconds you get to see the other notes in the fragrance. For example, the one note which stands out is yellow mandarin. And sometimes when it's really warm out there, you get the sort of a pink pepper vibe to it. So how does it open up? It opens up very, very strong cedar note. And then within about half a minute, you get other notes coming out. So grapefruit and yellow mandarin. Yellow mandarin has a very zesty but bitter sort of smell to it. That's what comes to the top. But it's still very strong, very strong. It'll make you sort of, I have a very sensitive gag reflex, so it makes you sort of gag. And in the middle of all this, you get two notes, which is the main composition of the fragrance. One is cedar, and the other one is vetiver. And that's the whole reason this gets compared to two vetiver-based fragrances. Now, if you've ever smelled original Vetiver by Creed, and if you've smelled Thierry Mugler's Mugler cologne, if anything, going by my experience, if I was to say if there's anything that is very close to Creed's original Vetiver, it's Mugler cologne. This one isn't. In fact, Creed's original Vetiver starts off very zesty and spicy because of ginger. Original Vetiver has ginger notes in it. It's very zesty and spicy. This is not spicy. This is very woody, sprightly, with slight bitterness to it, but extreme beast mode. Original Vetiver doesn't start off like that at all. When it comes to Encre Noire, there is no vetiver at the top, at the beginning. There's a very subdued vetiver in the middle of the mix, and it stays like that for first 15 minutes, 30 minutes of the fragrance. So as far as the comparisons with original vetiver go, I can't see it. Yeah, original vetiver is more leaning towards a very spicy, fresh, very smooth vetiver-based fragrance. Green vetiver, it hasn't got the rooty earthiness of normal vetiver-based fragrances like Encre Noire. So coming to the middle, now I've got to dry it on my left hand. So this is where the fragrance after about 15-20 minutes gets into a mellow state. Initially it's very, very strong. I'm not joking. So tell you a story about this fragrance before we get to the middle. I got this fragrance back in October last year. When I spread this fragrance smelled to me like I was standing next to a lumber mill. Literally, like a lumber mill, where fresh logs of wood being cut. It's that strong. So you have to wear this in warm weather to get the beauty out of this fragrance. And the beauty in this fragrance, apart from the nice cedar note, is very, very nice, very zesty, bitter mandarin note, and along with it, slight pepper, and the pepper note comes out stronger during hotter weather and better. So it's a very nice fragrance, but ideal weather for this fragrance is warm weather. It doesn't work well in cold weather or coolish weather. So let's get to the middle. The middle is where you get the vetiver. The vetiver in this one is slightly inky in nature. So that's why I think it gets compared to Encre Noire. But this is not a vetiver show. A vetiver here is playing a supporting role. So in the middle again, apart from vetiver, I think I get a very slight hint of patchouli, but it's in the background. But the pink pepper is there, and it's making itself felt, if you like. Now, after about an hour or so, you will start to get the base of this fragrance. The base of this fragrance is magnificent. Why? Because it uses 3 or 4 notes quite cleverly. There's a oud note, which is a woody oud note. It's not barnyard oud. There's a woodiness to it and depth to it. The oud, along with the cedar note, cedar is in the base of this fragrance, and as I said, it's very obvious, very strong up front, but the cedar here gets to that very pleasant, woody, slightly gourmandish, slightly sort of a implementation. If you take plain cedar oil, essential oil, and you rub it on your skin, you'll see how complex cedar is. Cedar starts off with woody, strong, masculine, and then gets slightly floral, slightly gourmandish, ever so slightly, when it dries down. I'm talking about pure essential oil. The aspect, the gourmandish aspect, very slight hint of it, starts rounding off the fragrance. So it starts extremely robust, beast note, very manly, very rough, and then starts to get mellow and rounded, sort of sophisticated. That's the whole reason Rasasi have released this as part of the red carpet line. It says something, right? It's got some special feel to it, something special about it, and that's what I liked about this fragrance. The other 2 notes which are playing a very good supporting role are amber and musk. There's slight muskiness and slight sweetness to it, apart from the sweetness given to the fragrance from the cedar note. There's a slight sweetness from amber, but it's very, very translucent, very right at the back stage. It really stays in the back. So another pleasurable thing about this fragrance is, depending on the temperature, if it's very warm, you will see the vetiver note come out a bit more. So for very hot conditions, this vetiver note comes out a bit more. For mild conditions like 15 degrees to 25 degrees or maybe 20 degrees, you will see the cedar, the yellow mandarin, pepper and vetiver play supporting role to the cedar. If it's very warm, it'll be the vetiver which comes up a bit more, along with cedar of course. So that's why I find this enjoyable. This is Rasasi's game, This is why I like Rasasi. Rasasi comes up with fragrances which are beautiful for affordable prices. That's the biggest selling point of Rasasi. That's why I like Rasasi. Now, so let's get to Next criteria of how I measure fragrances: price points, value for money. When I bought this about 10 months ago, this is July, I bought it in October last year, so 9 months ago, I got this for £15. This is a 60 ml bottle. I got this for £15. I checked it on Amazon. At the moment, this is available for £27. So the prices have got up, but it's still very, very nice fragrance for that price. Next criteria is longevity. It's a long-lasting fragrance. I get about 8 to 10 hours easily. On your shirt, it'll last for days, but it's not very good on your shirt because of the very strong cedar note, and it'll dominate the fragrance. So I normally don't prefer it on my fabrics. I put it on my hands because, as I said in my previous review, it was, I think, Encre Noir Sport, when I said if you're wearing Vetiver, best place to wear Vetiver is top of your hands. You'll love this fragrance. I go 4 sprays. It's beast mode. For the first 2-3 hours, it's beast mode. So I go 1, 1, 1, 1. If I don't like wearing it here, I'll go on my shirt, 2 on my shirt, 2 on my wrists. That's the job for me. In terms of sillage, it's a very strong sillage. So it becomes kind of a closer to the skin kind of a scent after about 2 hours. But the scent bubble it creates is quite strong. So it's a strong sillage. Longevity, I would say 8 to 10 hours. Yeah, so all in all, it's a very strong scent. So I wouldn't recommend more than 4 sprays if you're going to spend your days outdoors. That brings us, this is going. This is like what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? This is going strong. Occasions, daytime, formal, informal, absolutely not a problem. This is a daytime fragrance. You can wear it to work. Just go light on the spray. See how much, what's best suited to you. I've worn this to work. I go 4 sprays. I don't wear this on fabric, so I don't worry about it projecting out of, everywhere and stuff like that. I don't do that. So I wear this to work. I wear this to outdoor activities. Summertime. This is summertime, late spring, summer, early autumn. 6 months, not a problem. If you wear this in winter, you will get the cedar note far too strong, and I don't think you would want to smell like a lava float. As simple as that. So occasions are covered. Age groups, I think this is suitable for mature, polished and well-built people. So I would say 30 onwards. Yeah, this is more suited to mature people. That brings us to ranking the fragrance. Now, if you look at the actual composition, there are many fragrances that use cedar note. Some of the famous ones that I can say is, I believe, Tumulte by Christian Lacroix. Then there's one by Comme des Garçons. Cannot quite remember the name of the fragrance. I think it's Japanese City. And Gucci Rush. So if you compare to all these fragrances that are in the market, and I'm emphasizing this point, this is a cedar-based fragrance with vetiver playing a supporting role. And the vetiver is only obvious when it comes to very hot weather. So, or vetiver dominates when it's very hot weather. So I'm not comparing it to contemporary vetiver-based fragrances. I'm comparing this to cedar-based fragrances, which is what I'm getting. Whereas I live in England and it doesn't get very hot. So if you compare to those fragrances, this is not a redundant fragrance because of how amazingly well it uses different notes to give you a different fragrance. And I think that's why it's a great scent. Value for money is high, okay, and it's accessible to people who normally don't want to spend too much money on fragrances. So if you consider all those things, longevity, projection, sillage, I would give this an 8 out of 10. That's my opinion on this fragrance. The only reason I'm giving it 8 is because it's not a year-round fragrance, so you can only wear this 6 months a year. Yeah. So that's the whole reason, unless you live in a very hot and humid country. But this fragrance will go in a very hot and humid country to a very cold to temperate summer weather. It's a good 8 out of 10. Do give it a like, the video, if you like it. Do subscribe. I just wanted to make a point. I've seen, I get a lot of views, but 90% of my views are from unsubscribed viewers. So I'd like to request if you can subscribe, that would be really helpful. I would really appreciate that, because try to bring the best for you guys. Hopefully you like the videos, hopefully you get some value out of this. Okay, so AC signing off. Namaste. See you again. Take care.